All right, guys, we are here today. We got quad witching day. Technically, it's just triple witching, but the market is down overnight. SPY is down, NASDAQ is down. Pretty big drops too, honestly, to a point where we might start testing previous lows. Nvidia is still holding up though, so Nvidia is still holding up. We had some earnings last night. We had MU release earnings, I believe, yesterday. They are down under $100. They're down to $99 a share. I believe we had Nike earnings. Nike dropped all the way to 67s overnight. And yeah. Neo earnings. Neo is also down. So a lot of bad news overnight. Market's down pretty big. Again, Nike. Bad reaction to earnings. Q3 results. They warned of sales dropping. We had MU. Again, Rosenblatt maintaining a buy rating on them, but they lowered their price target. Needham reiterated a buy and maintained their price target. Morgan Stanley maintained equal weight and raised price target. Jim Cramer says, quote, Micron looks good, end quote. That might be the worst thing he could have ever said about Micron. Yeah, Jim Cramer said Micron looks good. Oh no, man, that's terrible news. We'll post that to our X page. I would like to be your bear today. Okay. Hey, what's up, Faye, Yumi, Ed, Kevin, Beach Bum, Brian, Jonathan, Spot, Marcus, ST, Pawn, Big Foe, Sam, Ray. Good morning, guys. Let's do a poll. We got to get a poll going live. Will the market close red or green today for quad or triple, I should call it, witching day? Red or green? We're gonna do this poll. It's going live right now. There's the poll going live right now. You can see Nvidia honestly starting to bounce back a little bit. It's over the 200 exponential. It's at 117.75. Gold, you know, down a lot on the day as well. Although it is still sitting pretty close to all-time highs up there at 30.65s for gold. Amazon slightly red. We've got Meta sitting at 587s. Yeah, a couple stories to talk about. Yeah, so the FOMC on Wednesday kept rates at 4.25 to 4.5, but traders didn't really cheer for it too much. We did go up originally, kind of pulled back afterwards. Powell emphasized, quote, restrictive policy remains appropriate, which crushed hopes for near-term cuts. Jerome Powell addressed the president-era new China tariff, stating inflation risks remain non-negligible. Investors are now worried about stagflation versus the Fed's transitory stance on tariff-induced price spikes. FDX FDX, which is FedEx, I believe had earnings, yeah, and it is down pretty big. So FDX is now down 8% after slashing full-year earnings forecast. The CEO cited a demand deacceleration and tariff-induced cost pressures. Nike stock also obviously down a little bit, like we said. Warning of that new import tariffs from Mexico and China are threatening their gross margins. So the tariffs are affecting Nike as well. Nike's down from about 69s down to about 67s. Tariff escalation fears reignited after the president's team hinted at additional levies on China EVs and semiconductors. The global markets shuddered. European markets opened lower as well, and emerging markets are retreating. London Heathrow had a power outage overnight, grounding about 1,300 flights. That is affecting things as well. European airline stocks like RYAAY and IAG fell because of it. We had some macro data overseas. UK February deficit came in at 10.7 billion versus 6.6 billion expected, so a much larger deficit than expected. Fiscal pressures mount ahead of the spring budget. India's Geo Finance postponed their bond sales amid high yields. Apple is down slightly, Microsoft down slightly, Google down slightly, Amazon down slightly, Meta down slightly, Nvidia down almost 1%. Tesla is, let me see, I think Tesla's down as well. Let me make sure this is accurate. Tesla's now slightly green on the day, actually. So, yeah, that is the noise today in markets. Yeah, the April 2nd date is when tariffs are supposed to get pushed out there. So, but yeah, you can see the SPY, which is retreating a little bit today, down from 565 to 562s. Chair of BBVA says the bank is particularly sensitive to concerns expressed by authorities regarding bid for Sabadell. Let's open up Discord, see what we got here as well. We're kind of checking all the news. Nvidia is bouncing back though. You know, Nvidia's still red on the day though. It closed at 118.50s. It's now at 117.80, so it's still down technically on the day, but yeah, so Tesla stock is heading for a 9-week slump. Record number of owners are trading in, says report. Foreign buyers are dumping billions into long-term treasuries. Canada was a big seller. So investors abroad sold longer-term treasuries for 3 consecutive months, a sign of central bankers reducing their reliance on the U.S. as a financial buffer. In January, foreign residents sold a net of $13.3 billion of U.S. Treasury notes and bonds that had more than 1 year to mature. So they straight up sold them instead of letting them mature. It comes after almost $50 billion was sold in December, following sales of $34 billion in the month November. Global demand is weaning a little bit. NEO stock is down a lot. A lot of people are talking about NEO stock this morning. If we put NEO stock up here, NEO stock is sliding over the last few days, especially overnight. Their earnings are scaring investors to a certain extent. NEO's down almost 10% today. EV missed revenue forecast and issued bad guidance. This is a Chinese EV company. Yeah, they reported fourth quarter revenue of almost 20 billion, which is about 2.7 billion US. The number of EVs it delivered climbed almost 50% from a year ago, but analysts were expecting higher revenue at 2.79 billion versus 2.7 billion that they showed up according to FactSet, so they missed. Still down pretty big. A lot of people are talking about NEO as well overnight. Yeah, Michael, I don't know, brother. It depends on the person. I don't personally like trading on my phone. And so if you're using it to only trade on your phone, man, I don't know. I would, if I were you, I would paper trade, see if you like it, and then see if you're able to do it successfully, and then maybe consider that. But if not, I would just I would test it by trying to paper trade on your phone every day. If you could do so successfully, you know, do what you do. But I think that's going to be really difficult to get done, you know. Airbnb CEO planning to join. Interesting. Yeah, looking at our poll, 62% of people think red, 38% of people think green. Yeah, we'll see if this correction continues into the day today. It is Friday, so just be prepared for Friday market action. Yeah, I'm taking a look at other big news in markets here. Jensen Huang admits a mistake. He said, I was wrong about quantum computing. Apology. Fails to lift RGTI, IONQ, QBTS, and QUBT. So a lot of the quantum stocks are down. IONQ down. Yeah. QBTS down. QUBT is down. And again, Jensen Huang kind of tries to backtrack. So a lot of people are saying yeah, so basically I was looking up where these quotes come from. So apparently Jensen Huang at the CES conference in 2025, he remarked that practical quantum computing was still 15 to 30 years away, which led to significant stock declines for a lot of quantum computing companies like Rigetti, IONQ, QBTS, QUBT. In March, you know, a couple days ago when we did the GTS conference, he acknowledged his earlier comments expressing regret for their impact. He hosted a panel with leaders from companies like D-Wave, IONQ, and Rigetti to discuss current advancements in quantum. Huang also announced that the establishment of the NVIDIA Accelerated Quantum Research Center in Boston, aiming to integrate quantum hardware with AI supercomputers to tackle challenges such as qubit noise and quantum error corrections. But we still got a lot of quantum stocks that are down today. So we'll see what that looks like as well. So I'm reading a couple articles here that say that the upcoming earnings season, so earnings season starts mid next month. So mid-April is when the next earnings season starts. A lot of people were worried about this upcoming earnings season too. So the Fed forecast of 2 rate cuts this year despite inflation not reaching the 2% target piqued investor interest. Dan Niles, founder of Niles Investment, said in an interview yesterday with CNBC, he basically said that he thinks this move reinforces the notion of a Fed put, which means that the central bank's perceived market support despite increased inflation forecasts, the Fed's commitment to rate cut suggests it's disregarding rising inflation concerns or metrics, and this has kind of scared a lot of people, particularly in the light of the Fed's 21 misjudgment of inflation as, quote, transitory. We also heard the transitory word in the last FOMC meeting. So basically, this guy Niles is worried that the upcoming Q1 earnings season could provide a reality check for investors, anticipating significant downward revisions in corporate guidance. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's that easy. Economic uncertainties, including concerns over trade policies and reciprocal tariffs effective April 2nd, could deter businesses from making big financial commitments. He said, quote, I think Q1 earnings season is going to be a massive wake-up call, but in the near term, do I see more upside? Sure, until companies have to start reporting. The analysts also expect the upcoming earnings season to be, quote, problematic. First quarter often starts slowing due to the holiday season, business activity picking up towards the end of March. However, given the looming tariff changes, companies could delay key decisions, causing more problems in the economy. We'll see. All right, so markets are down today for the most part in China, Hong Kong, and Europe. A lot of people are expecting the markets to open up lower, and we are down overnight. So Nike reported the worst footwear revenue. And again, if I'm not really into sneaker culture like that, like I always like Air Maxes, you know. But like I'm not really deep into it like that. Like I'm not about to spend $600 on a shoe that I never wear. I'm just never got into it. I'm not judging you if you do. I'm into weird stuff too. Like I like watches and all kind of stuff. So I can't judge at all. I understand flipping, collecting, all that stuff. Like honestly, I really do. But Nike products, shoes, experienced one of the worst earnings reports it's had in a while. So Nike reports the worst footwear revenue in over 10 years. They said they are taking action to continue quote unquote liquidating inventory amid bad guidance outlook. You know, another stock that's been running is Warren Buffett's BRK, Berkshire Hathaway. Yeah, Warren Buffett effectively got out before this big drop, this big crash. Trying to see there it is. Yeah, if you look at Burke here, here's Class A shares. They're currently at almost 800,000. Burke is up a lot on the year too. So we'll see if that continues, what that looks like. Yeah, Burke always green. Until we get trade deals next week, maybe. Quadruple witching hours. Quadruple witching is a day of historical volatility in which all major contract types expire same day. Now, historically, it's called quad witching day because we get all four major contract types that would expire. So we would get stock options, index options. So like basically Apple options or stock options. Index options are like the S&P options. Index futures like S&P futures, as well as stock futures, right? Those are the four major contract types expire. This would cause a lot of volatility on quad witching days. Now, the thing is, though, it's technically only triple witching day because there's no such thing as stock futures anymore. There's no stock futures. Stock futures don't exist anymore. So it's technically triple witching day, but most people call it quad witching still because the name kind of stuck. And that's kind of what it is. Yeah, so U.S. stock futures on Friday after tumbling in trade on Thursday. Futures of all four benchmark indexes were lower in pre-market today. Jerome Powell's comments on tariff-induced inflation that he called, again, transitory, buoyed the market on Wednesday. The dot plot still projected 2 rate cuts this year, maintaining the Fed's initial forecast. The 10-year Treasury yield is at 4.2%. If we look at the 10-year yield here, I think it's down. Let me see. Yeah, so the 10-year yield hasn't opened yet, but it's all the way down at 4.2%. 2-year yield is under 4% at 3.94, according to CME. There's an 83.8% chance that the Fed will keep the interest rate unchanged in May next meeting as well in 6 weeks from now. The SPY and Q fell in pre-market, like I said. The only things that went up yesterday were energy, utilities, and financial healthcare stocks. Jobless claims rose slightly month or week to week, indicating a stable March labor market. But rising trade tensions, government spending cuts cloud the outlook. So a lot of people are worried right now. Is what you realize when you look at everything. Yeah, so today we got rollover in futures. The last one expires. Yeah, it's a roller coaster for sure. If the government disclosed that we knew about aliens, would the market go red or green? I don't know anything. I mean, I don't know, bro. I think it depends on how big the disclosure is. I think in a lot of ways, they've already disclosed that. Like, realistically, in a lot of ways, they already kind of have. It depends on how big the disclosure was. I don't know if it would depend on how much. If it freaked people out enough, markets would probably go down. If it freaked people out enough. But it depends on, you know, if it didn't freak people out and people were generally supportive of it and okay with it, I don't think it would affect markets. It's just mostly independent. Generally what happens when there's a lot of fear regarding anything, the market goes down. Not always, but just in general. And so if it was big enough, markets would probably fall down. But I don't know. It depends. Yeah, it's all good, Michael. No worries, dude. Yeah, I mean, Kevin, so Jerome Powell is very data dependent. He's very balanced. He's not going to really give you too much. He doesn't like giving too much. Like, we always get asked all these questions. But he doesn't really like giving too much information, in all honesty. And yeah, that's most of the news today. That's most of the news. Okay, so somebody's asking me if there's a witching hour. Yeah, it's the last hour of the day before the closing bell, so it's 3 to 4 Eastern. And so this is kind of how it goes. So this is kind of how it goes. We'll break this all down. Quadruple witching occurs 4 times a year. On the 3rd Friday of March, June, September, and December is when quad witching is. 4 types of derivative contracts all expire on the same day. At this point in time, there's no single stock futures. So it's really technically triple witching, but we still call it quad witching. And again, that's stock index futures, stock options, and stock index options. So like S&P 500 is a stock index option. Apple option is a stock option. S&P 500 futures, like the E-mini or the NQ, are stock index futures, right? So those 3 expire today. The witching hour often refers to the last hour of trading from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern time on quad witching days as the witching hour. But honestly, volatility can happen throughout the day, heightened volume, price swings. Usually at like 9:30, you get big repositioning and volatility as funds roll over the contracts. From 11:30 to 12, index futures and options often expire here. And then from 3 to 4, the final rush of expiration related trades and portfolio adjustments happens. Something that happens on quad witching days are like institutional rebalancing of positions, massive order flow from options expiring in or out of the money, unusual price swings and short-term momentum and increased volume. It can be unpredictable on days like today, though it really can. Like, you don't know what kind of reactions we're going to get today. You don't know if we're going to get like favorable reactions or unfavorable reactions and stuff like this. You really don't know. So just be careful. Chop City today, maybe. What do you mean by repression? Look out for the June, July when most schools are out for the summer. Yeah. I did hear about that, about the pyramids. No more data for a while. We got data coming out next week. We got PCE inflation data on Friday. We got GDP data on Thursday next week. So we got some data coming out next week. Hey, thank you, Michael. Appreciate it, bro. All right, guys. So Nvidia back up to 118. So Nvidia's looking okay. Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, so you could also expect choppy action in the SPY Q, Apple, and Microsoft and Nvidia potentially here. Yeah, so technically it is triple witching. Does the president speak at 11 as well? Market will pump at the open. I hope so, bro. I really do. I hope it pumps at the open, but we'll see. We'll have to wait. How are you guys doing this week? Are y'all red or green? Are you guys red or green on the week? Let me know. Sunday, unknown. What's going to happen? Yeah, I mean... Seen a lot of news. See, let me look up other finance news. Yeah, so gold is something that we're going to be watching today as well. Gold has been moving. Obviously, it's been breaking all-time highs. Bond yields still aren't opened yet. Here's gold. So gold's peeping up a little bit after consolidating all morning. Nvidia's starting to dip down. Look at the SPY turn down here as well. So looking at what people say, green, red, green, flat, green, 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 then red. Tesla aims to build a 5,000 humanoid robots this year. Musk urges staff to not sell shares. Yeah. And again, this is coming on the big story of Tesla. Like I've seen an uptick in people just kind of being off. Like people think I'm some big Tesla hater, which is kind of crazy because I think I like Tesla stock, you know. I think one thing people get really emotional about is politics, though, and I've seen a lot of people get that way. And again, I'm not really against Tesla. I think Tesla as a company is honestly a pretty cool company. The problem is just obviously it's down over 50%. Like, look at this drop. We can't ignore what's happened to the stock. And me covering this news does not mean I hate Tesla or anything like it. It's just it's down a huge amount. And again, the risks are. Elon has been really outspoken politically, and that's a risky position to take, regardless of whether you want that to be true or not. Like, that's the truth. That's a risky position to take, being outspoken politically when you sell things to consumers. Now the big question is, does Tesla bounce back? It's dropped so much. It's dropped from basically $500 down to $220s. On a percentage basis, Tesla is down just in the last 3 months here. On a percentage basis, Tesla is down about 55%, over 50% since December. So, yeah, almost exactly 3 months. It's down over 50%. You know, even if we look at 488s, which I'm pretty sure it got pretty close to 5s, but if we look at 488s, even 54% drop. So it is down massively. I guess the question in chat, do you guys think do you think Tesla rebounds back up? Mostly heavy on tech, penny stocks. What do you think of SoundHound? SoundHound AI is an interesting stock. It's kind of lost some hype over the last couple months. You know, it had a big run in November and December with a lot of these other tech companies and AI companies, but it is dealing with the correction that we've seen recently as well. Like, here's SoundHound AI. Like, I remember I even covered the earnings for this company a couple times, but you know, it was at $50 a share basically up here. It's now down to 22s. So it's lost a very large percentage as well, over 50% of its value. And yeah, when we look at the long-term chart, it's not a good long-term chart. This thing was once really, really high up there. And so over the last 3 or 4 years, when so many other stocks have made big waves in AI, this one's given a lot of it back. And so I really just don't trust this. I just don't trust it. I don't know enough about it. I know it's AI related. I know the correction has been big, but it's not a legacy company where I'm confident enough to buy it. Like sometimes if a dip is strong enough, if it's a legacy company, I'm more okay with kind of buying a longer term pullback. Like if Walmart or Target or Apple or Amazon or something like that has some big percentage dip, I'm okay with buying that a lot of the time, because I know even if we continue down, if I hold it long term, I'm probably going to be fine. Unfortunately, companies like this, I do not have that same mindset with, because they're newer companies, they're less established, and the long-term trend is much worse. It's not a Mag 7 stock. It's not one of the biggest companies in the world. It's a small company that has had a lot of downward pressure and action. And unfortunately, one of the things that catches like a lot of new traders and investors is you got these communities that sprout up around companies like this, in which people are just talking like it's the greatest company ever. Like like if you talk to other investors into SoundHound, they're gonna act like it's the greatest company ever. They'll ignore the risks, and the risks are certainly there for this company. It doesn't mean it's gonna go down. It might go up, might continue up. The risks are certainly there. It's too new of a company. It's downtrending. It's been downtrending over a 4-year period, and so that's not really a good sign for me. And you know, if something downtrends for 6 months on a long-term uptrend, sure, I don't mind buying that dip. If something's been downtrending for 4 years like this, like if we put a weekly chart up, this thing's been dropping since 2021. I'm not as interested in this personally. But maybe also it's kind of a big risk, big reward thing. Like maybe this thing does run big and rise and go crazy and shoot up big. That's possible as well. I'm not knocking this, you know. I might be wrong, you know. It's just the risk profile is too high. Well, no, so yeah, again, I'll explain it real quick. Triple witching is what it technically is. We call it quad witching. Most people still call it quad witching, but it's triple witching. It's the options that expire today, the contracts, I mean, that expire today are single stock, or not single stock futures don't exist anymore. That was the fourth one that now doesn't exist, which is why it's triple witching now. But what expires today are stock options like Amazon options, Apple options, stock index futures. So like the S&P futures, the NASDAQ NQ futures, and stock index options. So like the S&P options, the NASDAQ options, like all three of those expire same day, which is today. It's the third Friday of the month. Yeah, but I mean, Mark, like, you're acting like we're attacking him, you know? And so, I mean, again, he could do whatever he wants to do. That's too political in nature for me. I just kind of avoid that conversation. I like Tesla as a stock. I really do. I like Tesla as a stock. I like Tesla cars. I think they're really cool cars. Yeah. It's not C3 AI lying. What isn't AI? Or no? Yeah. This is AI. This is C3 AI. I mean, Somebody talked to me about SoundHound. I'm sorry, I'm looking up the wrong stock. This is C3AI. Here's SoundHound. And honestly, SoundHound looks a little bit better of a chart. It's an even newer company, and it's pulled back huge percentages. But honestly, I like SoundHound's charts a little bit better than C3AI. Sorry guys, I looked up the wrong stock. But yeah, I like SoundHound's chart a little bit better just because this one you could say we're in an uptrend, but it's just a big pullback here. It's still risky though. Big risk, big reward. Y'all make money on it if y'all want to. Is it today plus? So is that speech today on crypto? Is it really today? Where's Bitcoin at? Bitcoin overnight, chat, sitting at 84,000 even right now. 84,000 even. EVs are just high-end golf carts. I'll forever pass, but I'll try to make money from it. Yeah, I mean, crypto speech was yesterday. Yeah. Yeah, Tesla more of a data company. I agree. They've gotten a lot of data around EVs. So if the industry of EVs are big, their FSD data and self-driving data is huge, right? Like they've been gathering data for a long time, and they're going to be able to use that data in a lot of profitable ways, most likely in the future. And if FSD, which I do believe is the future of technology and vehicles, takes off, and I think in 5 to 10 years, cars are going to drive themselves. I think if they do, it's basically Tesla versus legacy, like Toyota, basically. Toyota, Mercedes, Cadillac, like all the other producers of EVs. It's legacy automotive versus Tesla. And I think if Tesla is smart, they can stay on the front of that and do really, really well. But yeah. Do you think short versus long, short over long with leverage is considered gambling? What do you mean by that, Rational? You gotta let me know what you mean by that. It depends. Yeah, GameStop. I mean, GameStop has earnings next Tuesday. I think it is. I don't know. I think I'm gonna cover it, but yeah, GameStop has earnings next Tuesday. Do you think leverage trading is gambling? I think it's risking money. If you define risking money as gambling, sure. It just depends on what you define gambling as. I think it's risking money, you know. It will be safer. That's the thing you got to understand. Like, it's definitely going to be safer. There's definitely some kinks they have to work out of it, but it's definitely going to be safer. It's going to be safer all around. It's going to be safer for intoxicated drivers. It's going to be safer for teenagers texting on their freaking cell phones. It's going to be safer all around. And that's a good thing. You know, driving, this is something I tell my family, but like driving is one of the most dangerous activities humans do on a regular basis. People do it so much that they're kind of conditioned to not fear it, but it's one of the most dangerous things humans do on a regular basis. So if we can do anything to make that less dangerous, I'm for it. I think it's an interesting landscape for quad witching right now, big. I think quad witching day with all the stuff, the Fed meeting earlier in the week, a lot of people are screaming stagflation fears. You know, we've had some pullbacks overnight leading into quad witching. People are still fearing inflation and recessions. Next week we got PCE and a bunch of other stuff. I think it's an interesting landscape for it, for sure. It's not gambling. You're an investor. Your loss is your miscellaneous fee. Well, it depends on how you look at it, though. It really does. Oof. Sorry. Choking on my coffee. Whew. All right, I'm okay. Don't worry, guys. I'm all right. But no, some people are gonna. I get people all the time that ask, "Is poker gambling?" I'm a poker player. I love poker. Is poker gambling? It depends, right? If it's day trading gambling, they're gonna say as well. If your definition of gambling is risking money with an undetermined outcome, a lot of stuff's a gamble. Then, if that's your definition of it. If your definition of gambling is risking money, with unfavorable odds, well, it depends then, you know. What are your odds in trading? Are you a good trader or a bad trader? What kind of strategies are you using? Tesla earnings are going to be bad. Yeah, when are Tesla earnings as well? Oh yeah, having a wife or a spouse really is definitely a gamble. You don't know what kind of spouse you're going to get. 100%. I mean, Carol's one of my top 3 wives ever, but like, you never freaking know. All right, guys. Yeah, man, all those AMC GameStop YouTubers, bro. And I was once one. Like, I was always, I feel like I was different. And maybe that's just my own, you know, way. But, like, I would cover AMC and GameStop stuff. And I was a part of that movement. Like, we used to, like, that's what really pivoted my channel to get more views and grow, is AMC GameStop. And I invested in GameStop. I made money. We streamed the squeeze of GameStop and got tens and tens of thousands of views doing it per stream. But I was also a little bit different because I remember I sold GameStop at $5.50 and so many people got mad at me for doing it. Like, I sold GameStop at $5.50 and the whole stream was basically like, "Oh, bro, what are you doing? You're not a supporter of GameStop." And then GameStop ended up dropping like 40, 50, 60% and never coming back. And so in the, you know, they got mad, but I think it was the right decision at the time because it's never seen those prices again, ever. But it kind of goes to show people will follow people off of a cliff if they, you know. And again, I never believed in dedicating my channel to only one stock. I thought that was silly. I thought telling people that, you know, the market is filled with variance. You know, this is something that a lot of people refuse to, like, look at objectively. The market is filled with variance. Nobody freaking knows if something's going to happen. Now, you might have good probabilities that something's going to happen or bad probabilities that something's going to happen. But one of the big truths of the market is that it's never 100%. And so telling people that GameStop's going to come back or that AMC especially is going to come back when you really don't know if it will, and then causing thousands and thousands of people to lose boatloads of money and wildly depreciating assets. I like the movement of GameStop. I really do. I'm for it. If I had to pick a side, GameStop or big money, I'm picking GameStop. But after a certain point, there was a point in time of that movement where most experienced people looked at it and they said, hey, you know, it might be done. Big money was punished. A lot of retail traders made big money now, or got much more wealthy than they were. But at this point in time, the writing is on the wall that it might be ending. Like, the big movement of it might be ending, and you still had a lot of people bag holding those companies. You had a lot of people sitting on AMC. You had a lot of people sitting on GameStop. And I think the writing was just on the wall, and a lot of people didn't want to look at the wall. They wanted to, you know, hope that another squeeze was coming or whatever it is. Yeah, you saw a very similar thing with like another one that we covered in these movements was, and again, where's GameStop? GameStop honestly did better than AMC. GameStop's still sitting up there. You know, here's the 2020 squeeze. And again, GameStop has earnings next week. Here's the 2020 squeeze, or the 2021 squeeze. This is a post-split price, so really this was like 550 or something like that, like 500. And so we're sitting here. So this is the value that GameStop has lost from where people got mad at me for selling. Yeah. GameShire, stop away. Hey. I would honestly support GameStop if they jumped into Berkshire Hathaway, you know, share accumulation business. All right, here, let me look at something. All right, chat. Yeah, I'm looking up some news regarding the prop industry is what I'm looking at now. Yeah, so I'm looking up some of this news on Interesting. All right, let me find my video here. Where we go? Do y'all think this is the start of a market correction? GameStop up to 24s. It's up a little bit today. GameStop earnings, I believe, are next Tuesday, right? Let me see. How come every time the president talks about crypto, it dives? I don't know, brother. I don't know. Oh, the music did stop. My bad here. There you go. My bad. Looking at our poll numbers, 57% of people think the market is going to close red today for quad witching. 43% are green. Fanatic stores. Hey, GameStop is profitable. I know. I'm not against GameStop. Honestly, I told people for a long time I thought GameStop should get into like Pokemon cards and collectibles, and they recently pivoted to Pokemon cards and collectibles. And I know to some of you guys it might sound like I'm bragging. I'm really not. This was a true, absolutely talking point that I had about GameStop, that my logic at the time was that the people who play video games mesh really, really well with the collectibles industry, like Pokemon, sports cards, all that different stuff. Like physical copies of video games are on their way out. This is very clear to anybody with their eyes open, that physical copies of video games are on their way out. Retro games will still be popular, but people are gonna, like, at this point in time, you can download a device. You can literally download a device, or you could buy a device that has every N64 game, every Nintendo game, every PlayStation game on it for like $100, right? Like in one little confined space. And so I think that's kind of the future of gaming as well. I think a lot of them are doing it unlicensed. So I think that'll be hard for GameStop to actually sell, but you know, we'll see what they look like. Here, I'm gonna put a text. We get so many people asking me about triple witching. I'm gonna put a text up here. All right, so here you go. Yeah, so we're going to put this up in big yellow letters just so people know. Triple witching is when index futures, index options, and stock options all expire on the same day. It's still called quad witching for a lot of intents and purposes, but yeah. Here, we're going to get our x.com post out too. Let's get our x.com post out. Yeah, so we'll see if the trade war, you know, the next week or so is going to be really interesting because they say the tariffs are supposed to be happening the first couple days of April. So we'll see what that looks like. But again, today is also Quad Witching Day. Let me get this out here. So we got our post here. If you want to know everything that's going on in markets, you can join our x.com page. Again, this is a summary of basically everything going on overnight. We might get choppy action today. We might. I'm not sure. But again, there's the summary of it. If you want to give me a follow, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Don't we have unemployment data? We had jobless claims unemployment drop yesterday. So yesterday we had jobless claims unemployment come out. They came in basically flat. I think they came in at 223,000. They expected 225, so it's basically flat. I'm gonna start trading right now. Chat. We're gonna start trading right now. We'll see what this looks like. Market's still pretty choppy in a pretty small range though, so I don't know how much edge we're necessarily gonna have today. So we'll start trading regular NASDAQ futures in a combine, and we'll pivot over. We did lose a little bit. Our green streak on our main account in futures ended yesterday. We lost about $100 total, so very small loss, but we did lose yesterday, just to be honest about it. It was our first losing day in 5 days though, so not too bad. Like it happens. It happens. All right. What else do we have? See, I'm in this NASDAQ contract here. Look at this dip. Let's see if we can buy 800s. There's 8s. There's 3. And again, it's a combine account, so if we fail here, guys, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, we liquidated some of this here. I don't like that big drop. There's a little bounce. We maybe could have held some of it. See, the problem is we hit this 800 level, and now we're starting to fall. We made a little bit there, locked it in. Small trades right now. And again, this is a 50K demo account. We got to make 3K in profit without losing 2K. This is, yeah, so we're attacking this $800 level, see if we get a choppy bounce. We've been pretty choppy, so we're just buying the bottom of the range here. So we're just buying the bottom of the range, trying to sell the top. And I'm gonna have to cut this here. We'll let it break our under a level here. But ticks are easier for me to follow, if that makes sense. So it's just easier for me to follow ticks. Y'all do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. It's kind of slow today. We don't really have a ton of stuff going on. But I like ticks. It's easier for me to follow what's going on. Track P&L, track like risk reward, if that makes sense. I want to see if Nvidia bounces here. Apple, let's take a look. Yeah, Apple is looking kind of weak today, man. Apple's down. Took half off, locked that in. We still up a small amount, but I think we're probably pretty flat on this account right now. Two contracts left. See if we got any Apple news. Apple is likely going to use liquid hinges for foldable iPhone. So they're kind of copying Samsung in a little bit with the Z Fold and the other stuff going on there. I'll give it time. The 200 exponential is right here at 810s. I don't really like that level. I don't like the retest. I'm just going to get out here. We're down a little bit, but we're kind of flat. You can see we made a little bit and lost a little bit, so we're probably down some. Yeah, Apple went down to 211.50s and then bounced back. I also see MicroStrategy is pricing a perpetual Stripe preferred stock offering at 8.5 million shares at $85 a share. Bitcoin has been pretty quiet, though. You know, I saw like Kathy Wood talk about how Bitcoin's still in a bullish cycle. Yeah, and I've got a Samsung. Yeah, I'm going to pivot to a bearish thesis if we break under this 800 level and hold, and then we can probably attack this bottom right here, especially if volatility starts to come in. But I need some confirmation in the bearish side, so I need like a little bit of a breakdown and then a bounce back to 8s, and I'll attack it that way, I think. But It's still really early, super high variance. Nobody freaking knows what's gonna happen here. There's the breakdown though, so if we get a pop back up, I'll short it. We can start it with like 1. Canadian retail sales in a couple minutes. Yeah, Canadian retail sales are expected today. No, I don't think we have Canadian retail sales either today. Hold on, let me make sure. I'm still looking for that little bounce up if we can get it. Oh yeah, we got retail sales for Canada. Hey. Okay. I love you. Have a good day. Bye. Yeah, so we do have Canadian retail sales dropping. They're expected at minus 0.4%. Core retail sales expected at minus 0.1%. Well, it's okay. There's the bounce back. Let me short this really quick. So we got the bounce back to 800 and we tested it. I don't really have any big size, but I do want to see if we retrace back down. I could be a little bit more loose with this one since it's not going to be too affecting of me. But, all right, so there's a breakdown. Let's see if we hold down here. All right, so we fell down a little bit. We just got to keep falling. Let's see if we do. What's up, Yair? All right, so there's the breakdown. There we go. All right, we took half off. Let's see if it'll keep breaking down, and we'll hold the rest. We'll add to it if we're right. Meta setting up. Where's Meta at this morning? See, I'm still in here, and I'll hold this one to see if we break down a little bit more. Testing, like, I'm looking for a 775 level. I don't know if I'm gonna have the guts to hold it that long, but I'll try. Hey, buddy. Love you, buddy. Have a good day, dude. All right, love you. Oh yeah, I can lock it. All right. So am I green yet in this thing? I'm still waiting here. It broke down a little bit. There we go. Just got to keep going down though. Let's see if we will. So if it breaks down, we'll be green on the day. It's struggling too though. Where's Tesla? Is Tesla still falling? Alright, so we did reject at 8, which is what I wanted originally. I could have added to it, but I think I'm just going to keep it very low risk. Alright, there's the breakdown. No, don't do it. Don't bounce all the way back up. Take 2 now. Let's see if we get a flush. There we go. All right, we took half off. There we go. All right, we'll get out the rest there. We just made a few hundred. We're green on the day now. We got the breakdown we wanted. I should have maybe held it a little bit longer. We got what we wanted to. It bounced off of 800, which is kind of the plan, was to break underneath it, bounce back, and then flush back down to test this level here. I didn't really hold it long enough. Probably should work on maybe my trade management there, but definitely top 3 most biased of all time ever in the world. All right, so Canadian retail sales data came out. Again, this is kind of like a nothing report. They showed up stronger than expected for core retail sales for Canada. They came in at 0.2%. Month over month versus minus 0.1% expected. Month over month retail sales showed up at minus 0.6% versus minus 0.4% expected. A little bit weaker regular month retail sales month to month. Yeah, so mixed results for Canada. Some were weak, some were strong. Core was better. Regular retail sales, base retail sales were worse. Market's starting to turn back down though. I kind of want to buy this 775 level. We'll try it. A little early though. See, that's my kryptonite with this. I get in early on these moves, and then I end up having to go full size, and then if I'm wrong, it just ends up ripping up in my face. I don't really love to see it. All right, we're gonna limit our size. I don't want to face that. All right, so we just made we made a little bit under $100 there on this little 775 bounce. So we'll take it small but steady. Yeah, we're not gonna hold it long because we're right around these lows, and so the closer we get to them, the more they might get dragged down. My original thesis was correct. We broke under 8s, retested 8s, and then fell all the way down to 7.5. But we'll see what we look like now after this test. I don't really want to get stuck in this because, you know, I think there's a good chance we bounce back up and do some other stuff. But I think if we do start to break here, and like it can get really red really quickly because of all these support lows down here. So Nike dumped. Yeah, Nike dumped overnight. I'm biased, bro. I'm definitely the most biased person of all time, is what I would say. I would say, like, when you put me up there in terms of, like, the most biased people ever, give me your top 3 most biased people outside of me. Biased. Man. I can't even think of anybody. Batman, I would say. Maybe. Biased. Batman. He's definitely biased. Or maybe the Joker is more biased than Batman, I guess. Let me ask AI this. I knew they were going to hit me with Adolf. Basically any politician. The Joker? Yeah, I would say he's probably... All right, so look, we did bounce at 775, right around it at least, 770, 775. We went all the way back up to here. I don't like the edge enough. It's too close to these lows to go either way. I think long is risky because if we break under this low, it's going to get really weak, which is kind of what we're doing now. Yeah, here's the break under the lows. Man, look at this break. We still got to crack like these bottom levels, like 760 here, but definitely looking rough. Yeah, Nike down big. What is Meta doing? I heard some people talking about Meta's actually green on the day, and a lot of stuff is red. So Meta's actually doing better than most things today, to be honest. Palantir still sitting at 86s. It's been consolidating between 70s and 90s for a couple weeks now. Heading back up to 90s, though. Man, look at this breakdown. There's 750s here. Do I want to buy that? Kind of catching a falling knife to a certain extent. But look at the 750 level hold. Look at that. I still think there's too much risk in attacking this. Pops right at that level, but again, I still think there's too much risk in attacking it. Because something that you'll see a lot is like we'll move down, test the level, rebound back up, and then just continue the downward pressure here. But there's a lot of red action on quad witching day. What the heck was that? Landscapers. All right, we're at 750s, big psychological level. We'll see if it actually holds or not, but we're down there. All right, so there's the crack underneath it. Gotta draw some new stuff here. I'll look at like 710s, 700. We got some levels at 750 here too, but we're just gonna wait, see what these levels look like. Do you short the retest here? I don't know. Do you short the retest to 750? See if we reject it around the spot. There's 750s. Let's see if we reject. If we reject here, I'm going to be kind of mad. I didn't take it. And there's the rejection there. Kind of mad I didn't take it. Not really a big rejection yet, but at least that was right. But bad news bears. Look at our poll. 57% were bearish too. The poll got a win. Congrats, poll. Y'all got a win today. Y'all needed it. The poll's been wildly wrong for years. All right, so now's the retest. Triple stitching. Where's Tesla? All right, look, there's the rejection. Ah, man. I don't know whether I'm happy to see this rejection because of confidence building or whether I'm mad I didn't take the trade idea that I called out, which is a rejection of 750. Literally, we went up to a T of 750. Look, we literally tapped it. Went up to 750, rejected. Ugh, it hurts, guys. It hurts a little bit. Now, I'm looking at 710s. The real question is something going on in the market? Fed Goolsby says when you have a lot of uncertainty, you have to wait for things to clear up, according to CNBC. I'll put this up in chat. Maybe this is... Look, there's 710s. You know what? I'm going to buy 710s. All right. We didn't make money on that trade, dude. It said we were up like 210 when we took profit. Ugh. And now we're under my level here. I think I got to just cut it. We might add to sevens, but And again, guys, we are trading a combine account. It's definitely different than how we're going to really trade. But we can play with it. Out. There we go. We made $400 from that. We got the 7 bounce. If 710 didn't hold, that's the idea, is we're just gonna add down to 7s. 10 years dying? Well, that means lower interest rate sentiment with weaker markets, right? 10-year yield is going to go down as interest rate sentiment decreases and markets decrease as well. The 10-year did open up very low. Look at this. So the 10-year yield just opened up, and it's at 4.2% interest rates. So yields are decreasing. That means interest rates are decreasing. Look at the SPY turn as well. John's trades are like Jim Cramer. Oh man, that one hurts. I honestly feel for Jim Cramer. I really do. I feel for Jim. You know. The reason I feel for Jim is because you can tell he cares about it. You know, people give him such a hard time, but like he cares about it. All right, let's see if we stop at 7s again. Half my gains for the week, rip. I mean, we're definitely red. Yeah, the momentum's certainly on the red side for sure. Everywhere, basically. And again, Meta had a big downward move. I'm assuming Meta had some bad news to help bring this down. And that's why, like, I feel like a lot of people don't understand the movement that we get from the Magnificent 7 stocks, right? Like the other day, Tesla had a 40-something thousand vehicle recall. It was down a lot. The market kind of negatively reacted to the Fed meeting as well. And me telling people it was like a fundamental catalyst really ruffled feathers. People got so upset. But like, I feel like people don't understand how much sympathy movement happens in the stock market. And in that regard, the equities index, you know, the index future markets, because Meta is, look at this big pullback in Meta. It's steeper than most of this other stuff too. So like, look, here's the SPY and here's Meta. Now Meta might just be low liquidity as well. Now that I look at it, that might be the truth. But I'm trying to see. We also have Goolsby speaking right now. Yeah, so Goolsby is speaking right now. That's what's dragging this down. So let's talk about what he said. He said unemployment and inflation do reflect progress towards the dual mandate. We're going to put some of this stuff up in chat. So Goolsby speaking right now. Goolsby says that, quote, before judging how monetary policy reacts to tariffs, the Fed needs to know how long the tariffs last. Possible retaliation passed through to consumers. Imports are only 11% of GDP, so one-time tariffs that are not followed by retaliation are more likely to be transitory. The bigger they are, the more likely, the more like supply shocks they are, the harder it will be for the Fed to look through them. Well, duh. The bigger the tariff, the worse reaction, of course. That's pretty self-evident, no? Here, we'll put this in 2 different posts because it's kind of big. And so we're going to put this whole quote up. I think a lot of this stuff is just dragging down the markets. All right, so here's the second half of this quote. Yeah. And then the last thing he said the answer to what transitory means this time around is whether the tariffs apply to intermediate goods, stroke retaliation, and other factors. They still believe the economy is resilient, and if there is progress on inflation, rates will be lower in 12 to 18 months. When there is uncertainty, it is a time to get as much data as possible, end quote. So again, he's saying basically transitory means this time around is whether the tariffs apply to intermediate goods, stoke retaliation, and other factors. All right, again, we'll give you the second half of this. There you go. So that's what Goolsby said. And then we also have this last quote here that he just said over the last 5 minutes. He said, quote, "The Fed commitment to 2% inflation is rock solid." He said if market expectations of long-run inflation start rising, the Fed would have to act. He says there's nothing more uncomfortable than a stagflationary environment. There's no genetic answer to it. And so again, we're putting all this stuff up in chat for you to read. Yeah. So he said the response to stagflation would depend on a number of factors, but expectations would be very important. So this is what's going on right now, basically. This is probably why the market dips so heavily here. The White House says that the president signed an executive order directing agency heads to grant federal official access to agency records, data, and systems. All right, so we found a bottom here. Do you guys think we continue breaking down under this bottom? We're now at 685, 686 is here. Do you guys think we continue falling? We are now down to 687, 685s here. We're at 711, 710s. Gold down, 10-year down, stocks pre-market down. Yeah. Again, it's quad wishing day too. Nike's honestly starting to bounce back a little bit. Gold's honestly not down that much. It's actually been rising over the last few hours. Gold just closed yesterday down a lot, but gold's actually slightly green today. The 10-year treasury yield is definitely down today, though. The 10-year treasury yield is opened up at about 4.2%. So the 10-year treasury yield is down. Now, most stocks are down. Meta's down, AMD's down, Google's down, Tesla's down, but yeah. I disagree with this definition of transitory in the context of tariffs. That's not what he said when he went. When another guy said when he used the same word. Yeah. We need you to think because your first thought is right always. No, it's not. I appreciate the support, I really do. But that's the worst mindset you can have. Nothing I say is always right. Nothing I say is always right. And so you definitely don't want to copy me. Not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Always make your own assessment. Trade responsibly. I'm not an investment professional. I have no freaking idea what I'm talking about. Might be wildly wrong about everything I say. Don't copy me. I mean, I'm the greatest trader of all time. Definitely top 3. But don't copy me because I might be wrong. By 10 a.m. market rebound. We'll see. We're heading into the market open in about 40 minutes. So market's down a lot. I don't want to catch a falling knife here, but Bitcoin is down. Messi might be right. Messi said gold down, 10-year down, stocks pre-market down. Sounds like hedgers want to buy cheap. Maybe. Maybe we bounce back. Maybe people get in really cheap right here. If we take a look at like the NASDAQ, just to put all of this into perspective here, the SPY is down to 560s. So the SPY total here has dropped on a percentage basis from about 613s all the way down to 560s. So the SPY technically is down about 9% from its all-time highs, the highs that it faced a couple months ago. The NASDAQ, so the NQ, basically the QQQ, is down from, currently the NQ sits, or the QQQ sits at about 475s. The longer-term trend is it was at about 541 down to 475. So the NASDAQ is down. Yes, the NASDAQ is still down about 12%. Now, whether that decreases enough, here's the thing, okay? A lot of people think we're going to get economic weakness this quarter. So they think that, and when we look at the GDP now, they're expecting a 1.8% decline in GDP. And so if that happens, and we start heading towards economic weakness environment, where we could potentially enter recession, even though Jerome Powell says it's unlikely, that's a situation where we might have a longer term bear market. What ultimately matters the most is obviously how the market reacts to tariffs in 2 weeks on April 2nd, what that looks like, and if we can start to rebound back up. But that is something to take into, in your mind. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. We could have a weak quarter and then bounce back because of tariffs and still be okay. But nobody knows. And it's one of those things where, I think buying the dip long term is probably fine. I'm not an investment professional. Don't copy me. I might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Don't copy me. But buying the dip right now, if you hold it for decades, you're still probably going to make money. Right? So you'll still probably make money holding this long term. If you buy like Mag 7 stocks, indices, stuff like that, you're still probably fine. But you might also lose money if we do enter those situations for at least for a few years or longer. And so you got to ask yourself whether you're okay with that. That's the reason I won't buy gold right now, even though gold's been breaking all-time highs, is because I'm worried I buy gold at 3050s, 3060s, and then gold makes a pullback over the next decade to 27s, and I'm sitting on a losing trade for 5 or 6 years. It's a hard trade to hold through. But in general, I do like gold. It's just, do I want to sit on a losing trade for 5 or 6 years? Sometimes I would rather wait until we start decreasing and then start buying it. But everybody's different. The market just cracked the recent lows again. We are down under 30, or we're down under 690s now, under 690. Let's see if we continue down or whether we get a liquidity grab back up there. But we are now under some of these big milestone levels here. Let's take a look at some other spots. We got this big level 660s. We got this big isolated low down there. Probably just use this price action to guide us. We're rebounding back up. So we did do like a liquidity grab look here. And we have a double bottom at this spot too. I'm going to pull this down to right here now. Sorry, I'm catching back up on the chat. I'm trying my best to interact with you guys. Just tuned in. Did we get any reports today? We don't really have any economic reports aside from it being quad witching day, which isn't an economic report. It's just kind of a context of today's market. So all the people calling for a crash were right all along. When? I told people I thought the market would correct in December. If you're talking about during the FOMC meeting, no. We are still well above the lows. A crash is a 20-something% drop, short term. It's a very specific thing. We might go down from the FOMC meeting. It doesn't mean we crash. A crash is a wildly different thing. Just to put this into context here, the Q, if we look at it, the FOMC meeting, like, here's the cue. Like, let's take a look at it. All right, this is a long-term daily chart on the NASDAQ here. All right, the FOMC meeting, guys, was the 19th. So that was here. The FOMC meeting was literally here. We are currently here. This is not a crash. You know, it's nowhere close to a crash. It's just, that's not what it is. And I think sometimes people make predictions and they really want to be right. And so they end up kind of loosely labeling things, different things, kind of like rounding, you know, to it. But yeah, I mean, the people calling for a crash during the FOMC meeting were certainly not right. And again, at this point in time, we're not crashing at all. We are instead correcting long-term in the NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ has made a correction for sure, which is at least a 10 to 15% drop. The S&P dropped over 10%. The QQQ and the NASDAQ dropped 15%. Still not a crash, but we're heading towards, if we continue down, maybe, but we're not there yet. All right, so we broke under this. We just cracked lows again. And you got to understand something that's true here. Like, you got so many people that want to be Michael Burry. They romanticize it. They watch The Big Short. They want to be that next big market crash predictor. A lot of these YouTubers that are now acting like they're calling for a crash now, they said the market would crash literally every other week for the last 5 years straight, you know, and they've been wrong dozens and dozens of times. And so you got to just understand the truth, which is that crashes are wildly overpredicted. We're not in a crash yet. A crash would be, okay, the level at which the NASDAQ, in my opinion, would be technically considered a crash would be, for me personally, let me see. Let me look. So the top of the NASDAQ is 540. We're just going to call that 540. Crash. What is... A crash would be $135 down versus this top. And so just to show you guys, a crash would be 541 minus 135. So a crash would be 406. So a crash would be here, right around $400 on the Q. That would be a crash, a 25% drop in markets all the way down to here. That's what a crash is. All right. A correction, which is something we've already experienced, is a 10 to 15% drop, which is this last move that we've had since the top up here in February is a correction. But on average, the NASDAQ, the S&P, the Dow are going to correct at least once a year, at least 10%. So one correction a year is kind of normal. But the point I'm trying to make is that we still got a long way to go before we're considered a crash here. We just got a long way to go. And I know people who predict crashes, they want us to be right. They want to be right. Generally speaking, even if we do drop down, if it takes a long time, it's still not a crash. It's more of a bear market / longer term correction. Most people are going to consider a crash a 25% drop or more short term. So like within like a couple weeks or a month or two at least. If it's longer than a month and a half, it's probably not even going to be considered a crash anyway, and it might just be considered a long-term correction. Alan, Ruby, John, love your channel. Thanks for always keeping it real. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man. I try. Why do you have market crash in your... I'm asking people if we continue, like if does this lead to a market crash? There's a question mark at the end of it. There's a difference between asking people, hey, is this going to lead to a crash? Or versus saying, hey, we're crashing now, like this is a crash. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference. Yeah, whether they're cooking the books or manipulation or anything else like that, I don't know. Again, maybe. I've said this once, I'll say it again. Nobody screams manipulation more than somebody that's wildly wrong about a prediction. This happens very often. Somebody makes a big prediction, they're wrong about it, they scream manipulation. You know, that's kind of how it goes. I do know if we do crash, I'm going to start DCAing. I'm going to start adding in. I'm going to start buying if we crash. Buys are like, you know, the last time we had anything close to a crash was 2020. We had the flash crash of 2020. I bought up a lot of stuff, made some good money on it. And so that's the plan here, is to just start accumulating shares if we do get that week. Again, for me, we're not there yet. Maybe we do bounce back from here. Maybe this is a good dip to buy. I don't know. For me, I'd like to wait a little bit longer, but everybody's different. The reality is, majority think we already hit bottom. Too much optimism. When people start selling for losses and leave the market, that's when we hit bottom. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I think there's variance. I think it could go either way. I think this might be the bottom, you know, or we might continue down. And I don't think, you know, I think we could speculate, but I don't think anybody knows with any degree of certainty what's going to happen here, including big money. They might have probabilities and they might be weighted towards a specific side, but in general, nobody really knows. We can only wait and react. You know, something we always talk about is like, try to have a reactive mindset over things. Predicting it is great, but reacting to it's usually where the money is. Supermicro semiconductors, where have they gone recently, man? I haven't really seen them. Supermicro at 39s, so they're holding up, but definitely lost some momentum. Yeah, I like buying when things are on sale. I'm a bottom feeding dip buyer here. And again, just to put this into perspective here, in 2020 we did this, right? Like, look at this correction. And you don't want to get so dead set on like deep market crash predictions. Like, look, we dropped like 30% long term here. But in this period of time, I started accumulating shares down here. And I told a lot of people we didn't have to crash more, we might continue up. And people argued, they complained, and we had one of the biggest bull markets follow it. Markets up a ridiculous percentage relative to where we were here. And so the point I'm trying to make is that you don't want to be so dead set on bearish market action that you refuse to look at value when it's there. You know, same thing with here. Like 2020, we did a very similar thing where we did this little flash crash down here, and I bought up MGM, UAL, Uber. I think I bought up a bunch of stuff. And again, people had the same mentality. They thought we were just going to continue down and everything was going to be weak and it was going to be fire and brimstone, end of the world situation. And instead, we ended up just ripping back up really, really quick. And so I guess the point I'm trying to make is we might keep going down, or we might rebound back up and start retesting highs. We'll have to see what the data shows up as over the next few months. And again, guys, we are day trading on Top Step's funded account program for quad witching day. And just listen, guys, most day traders lose. And so if you try to fund your own account, 5, 10, 20, 30 grand, you're probably going to lose. Like, let's just be real here. You're probably going to lose. Does it make any sense in that regard to fund your account tens of thousands of dollars, especially in the beginning when it takes years to learn for most people? No, absolutely not. Instead, try a funded account program. Top Step is the most legit one in the world. They give you a 50K demo. They test your skill with it. If you pass the test, they fund you. If you fail, you only lose what you pay for it. The base one is $49 a month. They're going to give you a 50K demo. And just taking this challenge alone builds your skill in day trading. I know it's built mine, where it teaches you how to follow rules. The base one, you got to make 3K in profit without losing 2K first, following their rules. If you do that, they fund you 50K with a 90% split, and you get to keep your first 10K prior to the 90% split kicking in. And so it's very similar to funding your own account, but the risks are noticeably less than funding your own account thousands and losing that. $49 is a much smaller loss. Teaches you how to trade. If you're good enough to pass it, 90% similar to funding your own account. And if you use and they've paid out almost 200 million, fund thousands of traders. If you use Top Step X through my link, you get 0 commission as well. So you can trade very, very small. They use TradingView for their charts here on Top Step X, and there's just a lot of cool stuff. You can lock yourself out. One of the things that helps me is that when I'm on a big green streak, I set my max loss to 250. And so I don't end up having green streak, huge, massive drawdown in my funded account. And it protects the profit that I have. And there's a lot of other cool tools. But if you want to check it out, they are an affiliate of mine. I am biased because I get paid by them. So definitely some would say I'm the top 3 most biased trader of all time ever in the world right now. But yeah, if you want to check them out, understand CFTC 4.41, hypothetical or simulated performance, have limitations, guys. I'm not an investment professional. Sometimes I trade off stream. Sometimes I lose off stream. Have no idea what I'm talking about. There's the link in chat if you want to check it out. Great way to help support the channel here. I appreciate it. And let's see what the market does here. Do we bounce back into the open, or does the red action continue today, guys? Let me know. What happened at 8:15 to make the market dump? Goolsby started speaking about tariffs and inflation, is what happened around 8:15 market time today. Goolsby started speaking around 8:15 market time. He said, and we'll recap what Goolsby has said today. He says that when you have a lot of uncertainty, you have to wait for things to clear up. There has been a decided turn towards anxiety and waiting on capital spending among business contracts. Current conditions are a quote-unquote maybe, a shock to the economy depending on how long they last. The Fed needs to be steady hand and take the long view on the economy. Market wants information fast, but that's not realistic at this moment. Still a lot of strength in the economy right now. He said unemployment and inflation do reflect progress towards the dual mandate. He says that before judging how monetary policy reacts to tariffs, the Fed needs to know how long the tariffs last and possible retaliation pass through to consumers. Imports are only 11% of GDP, so one-time tariffs that are not followed by retaliation are more likely to be, the big word, transitory. The bigger they are, the more likely the supply shocks they are, the harder it will be for the Fed to look through them. He said the answer to what transitory means this time around is whether tariffs apply to intermediate goods, stoke retaliation, and other factors. He still believes the economy is resilient, and if there is progress on inflation, rates will be lower in 12 to 18 months. When there is uncertainty, it is a time to get as much data as possible. The Fed is committed to 2% inflation. It says if market expectations of long-run inflation start rising, the Fed would have to act. It says there's nothing more uncomfortable than a stagflationary environment, so there's no generic answer to it. Basically, if inflation spikes, Fed's going to be hawkish, is basically what he's saying here. He says the response to stagflation would depend on a number of factors, but expectations would be very important. He says uncertainty could feed into company capital plans, also sap confidence. He says evidence is mixed on how sentiment influences activity, but contracts in the Midwest says confidence is changing how they behave. And then he said tariffs raise prices and reduce output, which is a stagflationary impulse. The hard data right now are not the stagflation of the 70s, but is important when inflation and unemployment are both moving higher. So that is what Goolsby said around 8:15 to 8:20. He started talking, and that is what tanked the market, led to this downward action here this morning. So yeah, let me know how you feel about that. But yeah, subscribe, guys. We cover all this stuff live so you can understand it. And yeah, appreciate the love. Well, I think when he started talking about stagflation, which again, stagflation is a market condition and an economic condition by which shows higher inflation, but weaker economic data. It's when the economy starts to get weak and inflation is still a problem. Is what stagflation means. It generally follows hawkish action by the Federal Reserve because we still deal with high inflation, but we also have economic weakness from the hawkish action by the Fed. Right now, the Fed's pretty balanced. They cut rates 3 times last year, about 1 full percentage point, which is 100 basis points. And now the Federal Reserve is pausing, and they've been pausing, and we're probably going to keep pausing. If we take a look at the CME watch tool to try to gauge what's going on here. The next Fed meeting in May, they're expecting an 84.5% chance of another pause in May, a 15% chance of a cut. And again, it depends on how weak economic data shows up as. So it's looking like we're going to get a cut before June, or around June. On or before June, it's pretty probable we're going to get a cut. But again, it depends. So like what would influence cuts more, honestly, is more stock market declines. If the stock market declines, more of treasury yields decrease, that puts pressure. If we get weak economic data, so if we get payrolls come in super low, unemployment coming in super high, GDP next week coming in super low, PCE inflation next week coming in super high, or PCE inflation coming in low and GDP coming in low, that might influence in a greater way rate cuts to come in faster. It's also on the other side though. If we get PCE next week coming in high, like coming in hot, like high inflation for PCE, that's going to mean less likely that we cut soon. Because that means, like, again, high inflation in a weak economy is stagflationary, which is kind of what he's talking about. And so that's kind of where we're at with all this stuff. People are fearing stagflation, which means that a recession could be imminent if we do see some stuff like that. Goldman Sachs says that the S&P could soar 12% by the end of this year, but only if a recession is avoided. And so again, after market slipped into technical correction territory this month, S&P might be on the cusp of a powerful rebound, according to Goldman Sachs. Again, only if they say we avoid a recession, as historical pattern suggests. Goldman Sachs shared a note titled "Where to Invest Now," where Goldman Sachs CEO, or actually Goldman Sachs strategist, not CEO, David Kostin, said the S&P 500 is tracked by the spider SPY, could climb by 6,200 points by the end of this year. That's a 12% rise from current levels, which would push us right over highs of the, put it right at highs of the year and lifetime highs for the S&P. If we get up to that point, it'll push us right over that. He said the big if is if we avoid a recession. 12-month forward return averages 12%, showing that historical data supports this conditional optimism. He said, looking back to the 1950s, history shows that when the S&P falls 10%, the U.S. economy sidesteps a recession. The index typically rebounds with a 12% gain over the following year. If the window shortens to 6 months, the index typically returns around 8%. Economists at Goldman and elsewhere are forecasting a gradual deceleration in growth. GDP is projected to slow from 2.8 in 24 to 2% in 2% and 2.2% in 2025. According to Goldman, Fed's GDP now is signaling even more fragility, forecasting a decline of 1.8%. And this is what, honestly, I've been looking at. Somebody else mentioned this in chat. But yeah, GDP now forecasting a decrease of almost 2% for the first quarter of 2025. They originally expected a 2.2% decline, and they came in a little bit better at 1.8% for the first quarter right now. As of March 18th, albeit a slightly better revision, yeah. So, and I know that's scaring a lot of people. The U.S. Economic Policy Uncertainty Index surged to one of its highest levels in 30 years. Goldman's team expects the effective U.S. tariff rate to jump by 10 percentage points. That would raise the average tariff burden to 13%, which is the steepest since 1938. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens. Tesla's down over 50%, more than twice the fall of other Mag 7. Underperformance contrasts with the rest of the S&P. But the rest of the S&P outside of the Mag 7 is actually green. And I've heard this a lot from elsewhere, too. So, honestly, market's kind of quiet here. We're just covering some news. $13 minutes. All right, so market's starting to get some strength. It's back over this level here. We're back up to 19,660s. Gold is still pretty flat, though. Calm before the storm. I'll work in AI. Let me know if you want me to help put something together around whatever you need. Yeah, y'all join the Discord. Discord's completely free. Doesn't cost a thing here. There's the link in chat right now. You see Nightbot posted it. Yeah, the tariff thing is definitely big news. It's definitely kind of scary news, too. All right, guys. Yeah, see, I don't know if it works. I think I have to get a new Discord link. Here's the Discord link if you want to check it out, guys. I'll put the Discord link up. It's completely free. It doesn't cost anything. I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to put the other link up. I don't know if that Discord link works. I'm going to remove these two, and I'm going to put this Discord link up. There you go. Join our Discord, completely free. Honestly, bond yields are starting to spike up a little bit, though. Again, here's bond yields. They're starting to increase here, which is good. It depends on what you want to look, how you want to look at it, you know. So they're back up some. They're still at 4.2%. You move the percentage decimal point one, or the decimal place one over to the left to get the actual yield, which currently is about 4.21%. Yeah, that's the one that actually works, is that Discord link. Yeah, see, look at all the people join this Discord too. right, so now we're decreasing, testing these lows again, guys. So we are decreasing, testing these lows. We got 9 minutes, 8 minutes left until the market opens. Yeah, if you use my Discord link, you should get max the discount at all times. Tesla recalls 50,000 Cybertrucks. Yeah, I mean, and I think that honestly led us to some of the dip that we got overnight yesterday. Like yesterday morning, we had a lot of people arguing with me. I think people get so like, and I think this is what happens. People get so wrapped up. It's an election year last year. For whatever reason, they correlate Tesla with their political affiliation. And then they think that me covering Tesla news, and Tesla dipping all the way down where it did because of a 50,000 vehicle Cybertruck recall somehow means I'm attacking their political affiliation, and they just get emotional about it. I see this really often. And again, I'm not even against you guys. Like, I'm really not. I am completely neutral in politics. Like, I don't judge anybody for their political side. I really don't. If you're on the left, I'll be your friend. If you're on the right, I'll be your friend. I don't care about any of that stuff. I really don't. Just don't get so emotional about it, Tesla down a lot, too. Is Tesla worth a buy down here is the question. Are you buying Tesla down here? The value seems to be there, but I think the PE ratio is still pretty freaking high. I have a hat on today. That means bullish. Does it? All right, guys. Market crack lows again. Oh, yeah, I'm not about to buy this dip. Not right now. I'm waiting for the open. I'm green on the day in this thing, but I'm waiting for the open. It's too quickly heading down here. Honestly, the big level you want to talk about here, guys, like the big level we should all be paying attention to is, what is the close of this candle? Or what is the low? 466.40s. Yeah, so the low you got to worry about is this 466 level on the QQQ. And the NASDAQ, the low of the last like 6 months is going to be, I think it's 19,120 if I'm right. I'm showing it's 19,360s. But I want to feel like we've actually tested this low. Let me put up a yearly chart. There's going to be so many lines. Yeah, so this 350, 360 level, if we break underneath 19.1s, that's a big spot, but I would look at 350s, look at 19,350s on the NQ. If we break underneath that, that is the low of the correction that we've been facing. So if we break that low, which again is about 300 ticks down from where we are in the NASDAQ, yeah, about 300 ticks down from where we are on the NASDAQ. If we break that low today, things are looking bearish. Very obviously, things are looking very bearish. But again, the level on the NQ is 19,350, basically, right around that spot. I don't know. I think people would say the same thing though. VH, somebody said, who would dare short at this point? Seriously asking. But I think like it's one of those situations where nobody knows here, right? Like you could short, and if you think we're going to continue busting down to that 19,350, short kind of makes sense. If you think we're going to rebound back up, and because we're so extended on the downside, I think you could also argue a long makes sense. I don't think either one of them are shocking. Like I don't think either one of them are necessarily bad thesis on I think you could honestly argue either side. I think you could argue we're close to the low of the last 6 months. We break freaking 19,350s. We're breaking lows of the last 3 months. That's pretty weak. Sometimes those low levels act like magnets and drag us down to them. And so we could watch for that. Or you could also say, hey, look, NASDAQ's still down 12%. We're down a lot. It's time for a rebound, whatever. I think you could argue either one, to be honest. I don't think either one of them is crazy bad. I think I'm just going to try to react to the momentum we get. Meta bouncing up a little bit, dragging the market back up too. Are you buying Nike today? I don't know, man. I'm not really interested in buying up anything long term right now. I'm waiting. I'm going to let some of this correction try to end first, to be honest. We got a minute and a half left. What's your question, Pew? Patience is a virtue. Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely like, look, when I'm evaluating who I am, I always try to say, look, I'm probably the top 6 most patient man in trading right now. Definitely top 6. When I look at myself in the mirror, I see the patience emanating from me. Like I see the trace patience levels just coming out of me. I can just feel it. Most patient ever today. We got 30 seconds left. It's quad witching day. Y'all be safe. We'll see if we can try to make some money today. What's more important? Much more important, patience or offense in trading? Patience, probably, right? All right, so there's the opening bell. Let's see what the market does. We're going to put up the Q. I'm going to put up Nvidia chart here. Again, Nvidia, it hasn't been down as much as the rest of the market, and Nvidia has started to rebound back up a little bit. Most of these drops were from Goolsby speaking about tariffs and inflation and stagflation. And again, Nvidia is not super weak. We'll see if it holds, but it's trying. Honestly, yeah, no, small size, like we're going to wait 5 minutes for the opening bell to happen, guys, but small size really is the way. Like it's Top Step X has 0 commission. And so it really is a powerful thing to use, like small size, small and steady size, slow, patient. That's the way. All right, so here's the rebound back up. All right, guys, it's quad witching day. Tesla running. All right, guys, we're waiting. right, so we did reject right at that 710 level here. Now we're turning down here. Again, my worry today, it's quad witching. My worry, I'm not even predicting this is going to happen. This is what I'm worried about, is that we are so close. We are so close to that 6-month low in the NASDAQ. We're not incredibly close, but we're pretty close. I think if we start to get under 19.5 is my level here. I think if we break under 19.5, that's when I'm going to start to get really bearish, because I think we're going to be so close to that low. I'm kind of neutral between 6 and 5 under this level. I'm kind of neutral. I think if we start to test under 19.5s, I'm going to be pretty bearish. So just be careful, guys. Be careful. What do you guys think? Meta's ripping back up. Meta's almost back up to 6. Google's bouncing back up. All right, so we're kind of middle range right now, chat. We're kind of middle range. Again, Meta's still bouncing back, though. It's kind of dragging everything else up. Nvidia's still down. But Meta's actually technically green on the day now. So we are at 19.66. I think if we break under 605, I'm definitely going to be more bearish as well, but my hands are off and I do have to kind of sit here and wait. Is Tesla ripping? Is it really? Tesla is back up to 240s. Chat, 240s. Kind of needs it. Fed rate cut time? I don't know, bro. I don't know, man. Maybe. All right, guys, so now we're testing. Look at 605. That's my level here, 605. 605, look at this test, 610s. There's 605, so look, we're bouncing right off of it. Bouncing right off. All right, so we did bounce right off of 605s. Still very sideways, very flat. We got an opening range, so that's good. We do have an opening range here. Again, I don't really have any big bias. So yeah, I don't really have any big bias. Still waiting here. We're kind of sideways neutral range. Look at Nvidia breaking down here. It's at 115.50s. So Nvidia's flushing down. I'm going to short my first trade of the day, and we made a little bit here. Actually, I need a little bit more. This is a combine account, so I can take a little bit more risk here. We're at about 5 on this, so we'll trade into the cushion we have, and there's take 3, take 4, take 5, and we're going to hold this. Just kind of risk it before we switch to our funded account. Right, we took some size off here. I just needed to, and now we can cut the rest. So we're flat here on this position now. I guess I'm gonna cut this. We're green on the day still. But in order for this to really break down, we need Nvidia to kind of flush down with us. So I'm gonna cut this, and we're still green. You can kind of see it at the top. If Nvidia starts to get some momentum, we'll jump back in this short. But it's a very small scalp short position. Like, I'm not super confident in it. We need some other stuff to start flushing. Meta's red on the day now. Meta actually came all the way back red. Tesla's still green on the since the opening bell. I think it's still red on the day though. Let me see. Tesla's actually green on the day, believe it or not. Catch up on the chat. Try to take this. And again, if we lose this, it's a funded account challenge. So, like, it's $50. And I think it's basically... Let's see if we reject this 5 level, but... I try to speed fund these things too much, and I end up just getting my butt kicked. And yeah, we just got our butt kicked. It's okay. We have that one. We already got multiple funded accounts. So we're going to switch to our funded account. We also have to switch to our micros. And I think if there's a day to trade a combine challenge account at the open, it's today. Because way too much risk. We've got this fresh little funded account that we've never used before. Look at this thing. Here's micros. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't even claim to be a good trader, but we're on a pretty nice little green streak. We're actually profitable in our first, in 2 of our accounts, and then this one, we're not, I'll put it this way, we're not down in any of our funded accounts that we have right now. Like, we're green in 2 of them, we're completely flat in this one that I've never traded before. And so if it's a day where I think we have too much risk, I'm going to just trade a combine account like I just did. And if we lose, it's not the end of the world. We had a $400 cushion. This is just a big leg up quickly. So. John, have you ever considered that Nvidia or any other Mag 7 stock might not lead the NQ, but rather follow it? I mean, of course, like but it's a little bit of both, to be honest. It depends. So like something that you'll see is that, and it all depends on the context that you look at it under. Both of those things can be right. Where like if Tesla has some big news, if Nvidia has some big news on the downside and it's big bad news, Nvidia's dropping down from the news, and the rest of the Magnificent Seven stocks are going to follow it in sympathy. Right now, the question is, are they following Nvidia or are they following the Magnificent Seven stocks overall? And that's where, like, both are kind of true. They could be, both of those things could be true. But usually, if like Nvidia or Apple have some really big, like bad or good news, other stocks in the Mag 7 typically follow it because tech has sympathy movement with each other. And so I guess it depends on the context you look at it under. Yeah, we are back up for sure today. Looking at Apple too. Apple's all the way down to 210s. That might be a value level for it too, but so we're still rejecting that 7 level. We're kind of neutral. We got an opening range here. All right, so we are rejecting back down here, but we're so sideways right now, guys. I don't really want to make any type of trade on my actual funded account. I just want to sit on it. Netflix? Where's Netflix at? Honestly, I haven't looked at Netflix in a minute. The last time I looked at it was testing 1,000. It's at 950s now. All right, so we're testing that 706 level again. Look at us test that, but I'm just not going to trade my actual funded account with this price action. It's not really any. The extensions on the downside, the momentum The longer term momentum is on the downside as well. Shorter term momentum is on the upside. So like it's too neutral for me here. What do you guys see? Y'all think we're gonna come back down or continue moving up? Let's do a poll. We got over 1,100 votes. Let's do a poll. Does the market move up or down over next hour? There you go. Vote on that poll. Meta's still heading up though. Nvidia is what is leading it, I think, a little bit as well. Nvidia at 116s. Vote on the poll. 60% think up, 41% think down. Quad witching is the witching hour is the last hour from 3 to 4. Here's the 200 exponential right here at 740 or so. I might short this 200 exponential average here. We'll try it. We'll take a couple contracts here, small, 2 max. Take half off there. What? Oh, what a terrible fill. Somehow we lost on that trade. I don't know how, but oh well. Alright, we're out. We made money on it, but wish I would have gotten a better fill there. I'll short 725s too. If I get it, but I might not get it. I'll take 1 here. Take 2. Take up to 3, but should have waited for 725s maybe. We ended up making money on it, but not much. I got a little scared out on one of those retracements, and it looks like it was for good reason. What? We didn't make money? 22 to... We didn't make money on it. I'll give me my second entry here. Not the best fills today, though, so far. So you're right at this 200 EMA. I will short up to this spot, but I got to be careful. I like the 200 EMA here, but we got to keep it small, light. We made a little bit, but it looks like it's going to fill this candle. Yeah. So we're still flat. The only problem, I'm going to cut this here. And again, we're basically flat on the day. I'm worried Nvidia is going to continue ripping up and it's going to drag the market up more. I'm taking very small size, guys. We're playing small here. It's quad witching day, you know. Alright, so yeah, now we're up about 50 bucks. We ended up catching it. Nvidia rejected here, which is what made us jump in that last one. Here's the 200 EMA. You can kind of see how much stocks respect it. Look at this big breakdown. Again, right at the 200 EMA. I wanted 725s. It got up to 740, but it still remained the same. I got 2 contracts now. Let's let it sit for a second. Ugh. What a retracement candle. I'm gonna get out half here just to protect it. I don't like that. Eesh. That one hurt. We're slightly red now. See, this is the trend that we're in on Nvidia, and I'm wondering if we're gonna like follow this little this little 1 minute trend. You know, you see it on Nvidia, you kind of see it on the NASDAQ too. Yeah, Tesla just broke highs of the day though. Tesla got up to 244s. Super micro at 40. I'm not gonna buy the retest here, it's too risky. Yeah, that retracement was quick. We came all the way down, looked really weak, got a liquidity grab from it, and then just popped up. I'll try short again, but we're not going to do too much. Dude, why do my fills keep getting so bad here, dude? I keep, maybe it's just the slippage today. I tried to add to a winning trade, but now it's kind of... We got a little bit of profit there before we cut it, but... We're seeing some retracements back up too. Yeah, and I'm wondering if the markets are not going to start waking up until the witching hour at 1. We're just kind of going back and forth. It's honestly a really small day, though. I'm just not really liking any of this. It's so sideways. The range is so small, too. I like that the 200 EMA is above us. That's why I want to go short, but I'm also looking at Nvidia flushing down here, hoping it'll drag it down some, but yeah, we're gonna have to cut that too. So we're down small. We're down like $60 or $70. I'm just not really liking today, guys. I'm probably gonna close it down. It's not one of my good days. Like if I could build up a small cushion on the day and then slowly scale up in size, that's what I want. And so if I'm struggling to build that cushion, it's probably not the day to trade, if that makes sense. Quad witching day is when all the major contract types expire. It's technically just triple witching now, but it's when all the major contract types expire. So like we got, like I'll give you some examples on charts. We've got we got index futures like the NQ. We've got NASDAQ futures like the or we've got index futures like the NQ. We've got stock options like Apple, and then we've got index options like the NASDAQ 100. So like it's when all the major contract types expire same day. If they can all expire same day, the witching hour is the last hour of the day between 3 to 4. So between 3 to 4, that's when a lot of stuff happens, is between 3 to 4. That's when the witching hour technically is. So that's kind of what it all means and what witching hour is and like all this different stuff. But they all expire right around the closing day. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and close it down, guys. I just don't really see anything I like. Yeah, just not really getting any good price action today. And we'll see if we get anything better. Actually, I went green on the day just now, but it's a small green. Like here it is. I'm going to close it down though. Again, if you want to check out Top Step, one of the ways we went green on the day is I'll show you the last little string of trades. Here's my trades. We ended up making 7, 7, 6, 11, 8. We can trade micro contracts on Top Step. We are green though, so we did go green, but I'm going to close it down. I'm just not finding anything I like. But listen, I love you all. You'll have a great day. Again, if you want to check out Top Step, I'll put the link up in the chat. Great way to help support the channel. Again, they give you a 50K demo if you can make 3K without losing 2K first, following their rules and conditions in the futures market. In the futures market, you day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, gold, some currencies. My rejection of the 200 exponential actually just worked. So that's how I ended up getting back green on the day. But again, no PDT in futures. Most day traders lose. And so if you put up 50K of your own money, you're probably going to lose it. So you might as well try to get funded for 50 bucks. Get 50K in funding if you can make 3K on a demo account without losing 2K first, following their rules and conditions. And if you fail, you lose 50 bucks. It's not the end of the world. There's no PDT rule. You can day trade all this stuff that other people try to trade and fund themselves, but it's a lot cheaper here. They've paid out almost 200 million. They fund thousands of traders. And again, there's zero commission on Top Step X if you go through my link and you want to pick Top Step X. I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Have a safe and happy weekend. Trade safe today, guys. And yeah, y'all be good. I'll see you guys next week. Next week, we got PCE data, GDP data, durable good orders, and more. So yeah, I'll see you guys.